Hey Rangers, today we have Ant-Man from the Civil War Captain America Figuarts line, and first of all I have to say I'm not impressed whatsoever for the amount of money that you get for him, considering when for roughly the same price, a little bit less, you get more, but that's coming later. So first of all, let's have a look at this box. First of all, you see Ant-Man, you see a mini Ant-Man. On the side it says Captain America, it says Ant-Man, different ones, and again there as well, at the top and the bottom. So let's crack open this bad boy and have a look inside. With what you get with Ant-Man, his hands, the mini Ant-Man, and obviously the Ant-Man figure, you kind of think when you're comparing it to what you get with Captain America or Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, you'd get more, and I feel that this is something that they could have done more with. When you have multiple versions of Iron Man that have hands that open, that do different things, you can do a lot more, and this is something where we could have had something new, something different from Ant-Man, because he's not been done before. We've seen the multiple ones that we've had previously of the others. This seems to be a really good opportunity, and in a way it feels like they kind of wasted it, especially if you collect the boxes. Now it would have been easier to have multiple hands, having a closed hand, or like different things that he could have done. But I do feel that it's just a completely missed opportunity, and I hope the Black Widow and the Black Panther don't come very similar to this, because I would be very, very annoyed. Here we have Ant-Man. I really like this helmet. I really like the design that they did with him, because it looks kind of cool. It looks very similar here when you see the faceplate to being like kind of Iron Man-esque. And we can see that there's a little bit dirty like at the top of its helmet where it kind of moves in. At the top you can feel that there's just there, you can feel that there's ridges, and then when we look at the side of the helmet just here, it kind of reminds me of like kind of, I don't know, a little bit like Ultron. I do like the fact that you got the tips there, obviously to represent the ant, and then you've got the kind of like the grey dark material that works very nicely like with the silver material. You can see just there and just there you got little red like kind of stripes. It would be cool if these moved up and you could see a lot more. Now the eyes have got the kind of like the window plexiglass thing, which looks really cool, and they kind of shine in the sunlight, as you can see. And when we look at his kind of his breathing apparatus, they've put all the little like kind of like dents and all the little kind of like piping material things that they do. I can't figure out what the name is, it escaped me just then. When we move down to kind of like his upper body, his torso, we can see that the colours are matching really well, and then when you run your fingers along it, you can find that there is the kind of material, so it's raised, it's quite bumpy, and it feels fine. We have here along the way of the kind of like the, I'm guessing it's where the power would go around his entire suit, with all the wires that are linked in with his hand. On the front where you can see here, there's kind of like for a backpack, or for what normally you would have there. I like the way that here you can see that there's more dents there, and it kind of like, it looks like an oscillator. I'm going to go with the oscillator for some strange reason. As we move down his body, I like the gauntlets that they've got here. I really do. I think they look kind of amazing, and I like what they've done with them. So you can see that they've sketched and actually carved in some to the actual model itself, like lines on what it would be from the film. We've got here his kind of belt, and there's that kind of upper belt which could be keeping his suit together, and kind of for some strange reason reminds me of Superman's underwear type thing. I don't know, I know it's not the same colours, but it just kind of reminds me of Superman. The lines that go along the silver all the way around there, and again you've got stuff here too, and it looks kind of cool. Look, it does stand out. I really like the design of the figure and the way that the colours match, as well as how the costume is. Just on the same side we've got the same kind of piping, and again even on his kind of where his lower regions would be, you can see that they've also got there. It's not just like sort of plain or just not detailed enough. When we move down again, you can see that he's got his knee pads. When you run your finger over them, there is some sort of texture there. As we move down to his kind of boots and legs, we can see that here you've got the detail of where the little red lines are, and when you look kind of close, you can see a tiny bit of paint spillage, but they are kind of textured to much the other part of the red suit. Now this part reminds me of Deadpool's like legs for some strange reason, and again we've got more kind of lines going along here and kind of like leading in. Now again, it doesn't remind me of boots or anything, but it's wearing shoes, and then at the bottom part of the shoe you can move his toes up pretty much like all the other line, if you want to pose him in different positions and you want to kind of get a better kind of pose from him, I'm guessing. With coming to the back of the costume, it looks really cool and it kind of really stands out to me. Kind of reminds me of a Tony-esque thing, but here we've got the kind of red line that joins from the back to the head, and then you've got the kind of like neck lines that would probably oscillate the power to a suit all the time, and then we can see that the pipes or the circuitry go all the way down, and again you have the kind of links in, so it looks really cool. I like it. I also like this kind of black line or this kind of like grey line. I can't really tell if it's like a brown, black, grey, whatever colour it is, it works really well. And it also, just if you can see it just at the back there, it looks like they've put in like where the zip line would be, so if you wanted to take down the zip for the costume, it would be there. We've got more red parts just there and there as well, and then we can see that he's got this kind of belt which would hold all his gadgets, especially for making things larger or smaller. Now coming down to the bottom part here, we can see that the different colours all mix in really well and they're kind of not standing out too much. So you've got this kind of black greyish thing here, again with a darker brown, and then again some of the red with some of the grey lines or silver lines. Now one thing I could say here, you've got the kind of lines where it kind of joins up of where, like, if you're wearing a costume like this, then the back of your leg would be, and then just as you can see around there, they're not kind of one piece. It looks like there's multiple layers that can bend quite easily. Now we know we've got the certain joints that are used for all of them, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they kind of mix kind of well. It looks like they kind of blended the colours in quite with this one. Now the bottom part is here, we got the kind of the red again, which reminds me of Deadpool, and then you've got the kind of like the line where it looks like he can zip up. Now you've got the kind of like cuffs for the top of the boot, and again we can see the sole of the shoe, and it looks like it can move on a ball joint. With all the figures we do like kind of stress tests and stuff to see what it is. So we can see that the toes move really easily, and then kind of the feet are kind of like stuckish, but they're on like, it's kind of one ball joint that doesn't move around. When we move the leg, you can see it moves up, but it moves to like a certain point, so you'd have to really like kind of turn it around and do it like that. Now I've got to admit, the joints on the knee are slightly better than previous ones that we've seen, so it looks like they've upped the game there. It comes to the torso, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't really turn that much, so you can't really have much posability. And then up and down like that. The arms we've got here, I didn't really notice before, but as we can see, it just pops out, kind of like the arm. We'll leave it down there for now. Like the kind of like shoulder pad, but we know that it moves up and down, so just be careful. And then the joints move slightly. I didn't talk about the kind of elbow pads there, and then it moves like that, same sort of thing. Turn the hands just like so, and then when it comes to the head, turn it around to some degree. Oh no, you can turn it all the way around if you want to. So again, it looks like it's on a ball joint like that. So there we go, Rangers. There is Ant-Man out. I have to say I'm very disappointed in this figure. I was very excited when they announced Ant-Man and they showed Ant-Man. I thought, wow, you will be getting quite a lot with him. But from what you get is two hands and a little Ant-Man. That to me is just, it feels like they've not looked at the figure, they've just gone, let's just release him because we've got time. I would have loved a lot more hands. I would have loved mainly the button hand, like where he does that, or something to come with him, like a little truck or something, that when he's in this mode, he looks huge compared to when he's got the little Ant-Man. So I'm a little bit kind of like about it. It feels like it's a great figure, but it's also a wasted figure because we could have had such loads more with it. Now one thing is, watch out for these shoulder pads because they do come off quite easily, and they're quite easy to put back on. So I just thought I'd mention that. Apart from that, is it a good figure? if I'd seen these pictures before buying him, I possibly would have skipped him. That's just because you hardly get anything, and if you're a big collector and you like collecting the boxes for like Iron Man and Captain America and you want them all the same, this one is just completely different. This feels but he's a nice figure, he looks really nice, and I'm kind of glad we've got a little bit more to the Marvel like range of, rather than just Captain America's and like Iron Man's and War Machines and stuff like that. So this is not too bad to add to the collection. I'm just kind of about it. I would have added more hands at least, or given him something different than the others, or maybe giving him something that the others don't have, so you have to collect the entire range. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me know what you think about this Rangers. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments. If you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Check out Yeah Games, all that lovely goodness. And as always, Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit. See you in a bit.